Hello everybody, this is Cyrus here, back with another Matchbox review. Today we've got the 2025 Construction 5-pack from last year and this year's 2026 Construction 5-pack. I am going to compare the two since I've got a new construction playset set up for my dioramas. And we've got two ink construction decos that I'm going to feature in this video. Just like the 5-pack, this one was from last year in 2025, and this one's new for this year. To kick off, we'll start off with the 2025 Construction 5-pack. Sorry, I was getting my words in a tongue twister there. And we'll start off with the Unimog. Now, this one was a wise choice in my opinion, and I think it was also a popular choice. A lot of Matchbox collectors like the Unimog itself, and there's a lot of collectors who collect the ink construction livery. So I think that this was a wise choice on Matchbox's part. One thing that's nice with this version that not all the versions of the Unimogs unfortunately have is this one's got painted on tampos for the Mercedes badge and headlights. Not much to say about tampos in the rear, but it's nice to see that you do have a trailer hitch for towing some stuff. As it would turn out, Matchbox has given us some trailers in the ink construction livery, including in their Hitch and Haul series. And if I can get this on there, the Unimog can tow these trailers around no problem. Also, if you have some of the Siku low loader and tag trailers, these are obviously a different brand, but they are also compatible with the Unimog to where you could load up some machines on the back and have the Unimog haul them to the job site. Compare this casting with other decos in the ink construction livery. Hands down, no comparison. It would fit right at home and looks right at home with some of these other reoccurring decos. So that does that. Next up, moving on to the only other deco that's not a part of the 70th construction livery that was in the 5-pack, and that being the Road Stripe King. The amount of detail that went into the operator area at the back, as well as all the control dials and paint nozzles, really stands out in my opinion. They also knocked it out of the park with replicating the spray nozzles and special guide wheel at the front. But another nice feature with this truck is there's a molded in hole on top, and that's so you can put like a crayon or a pencil crayon down through there and draw the lines for a road on a piece of paper. As you saw when I was showing the Unimog, I do have this truck in ink construction as well, and I did a video on this ink construction version if you want to check that out. Quickly comparing the two if you want a better look. Move our Unimog out of the way. Unfortunately, this casting is not as compatible with some of the elevated areas on this playset, as the nozzles and caster wheel on the front tend to clash. But seeing as you're most likely going to use this to put painted lines and road stripes on the road, it's not really too much of a big deal in my opinion. Next up, we got the Grey Doll. This one also has great play value with its moving features, including the bucket, which can pivot up and down. And you can rotate the operator cab 360 degrees in either direction. Unfortunately, this casting is mostly plastic, with the operator cab being the only metal part. Still, it's a toy and not a one-to-one model, so seeing as this is mainly intended for kids, I can kind of let it slide for the most part. And finally, for our final two decos and castings in this 5-pack, we've got the skid steer and the mini dozer. We've got the smallest two for last, but despite being small, they do have nice play value with their pivoting buckets. Unfortunately, there's no pivoting point on the bucket to where if you wanted to unload into a dump truck. But still, The moving features are nice, and if you have some other Matchbox play sets, including some of the construction ones that would come with mini boulder accessories, you could use the buckets to scoop some of those boulders up and move them around if you wanted to. So that does the 2025 Construction 5-pack, and I'm going to pause real quick, and but when we come back, we'll look at the 2026 Construction 5-pack. All right, moving on to the 2026 5-pack now. Here we have the cement truck, and as you saw earlier when I was showing the Unimog, just like how I had the Road Stripe King in ink, I also had the cement truck in ink as well. With the ink version, unfortunately, oh yeah, I just realized this now, neither of them have front decos, but I can let that slide. This is a generic, but it's definitely drawn inspiration from some of the Euro-style cement trucks. I think if they went with a generic conventional cab, it would have not looked as nice. I think the cab over looks better. But then again, I've always been a sucker for cab overs. All the orange you see being used is plastic, metal, with the only orange plastic part being the drum. The silver part holding the drum on the framework and the funnel at the back is all plastic as well. However, the drum does rotate, which is quite nice. It would actually be cool if Matchbox came out with a cement factory playset, in my opinion. Next up, we've got the Ram work truck. This one does have a nice push bar in the front, as well as a beacon light bar, a bit unusual, but I guess that would be necessary if you were working with slow-moving vehicles. Unfortunately, no trailer hitch, unlike the Unimog, so you are a little bit limited in terms of play value on that end. However, I do think that this was a wise choice to choose this casting to throw this deco on. We get a lot of pickup trucks in these Construction 5-packs that they like to use as the foreman's truck, and it kind of becomes a dime a dozen, but this one's a lot nicer due to its beefiness with that push bar and the utility style bed. Next up, moving on to the Groundbreaker. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a problem with this casting. Level M Diecast actually did a review on the 2026 Construction 5-pack. He pointed out about how his version didn't have this Rannoch deco on the side, the opposite side that was, and he thought it was just a factory error, but unfortunately it's not. It's not there in my version either. And it's really disappointing because the other castings that were in this 5-pack, they did the deco on those sides. So the fact that Matchbox decided to cheapskate on this one definitely loses a couple points in my opinion. Also, Level M Diecast was not impressed with the white plastic base as it detracts from the look and doesn't match up with the black colored tracks. And to be honest, I can't really blame him. This casting could have done better, in my opinion. Plowverizer, originally called the Highway Maintenance Truck. This snowplow was originally a Chevy Top Kit cab, but eventually they took the Chevy license off. It did used to also have a moving snowplow blade in the front, but unfortunately the snowplow is now part of the base. The deco for this is also not entirely original, as they did include this in a hitch and haul set. However, it has been changed up a little bit to where I think that the one in the hitch and haul was dark gray or silver on the grit spreader. This one is black. And unlike the foreman's truck, this one does have a tow hitch. The Groundbreaker does also have a tow hitch, but I don't know if you would really be towing trailers with that. And finally, the 2016 Ram flatbed. This one I really like, as it's a little bit different for the fact that it's got a more utility style bed compared to the 2015 Ram, where it's just a traditional pickup truck bed. So I'm really glad that they included the ink deco on this, and they've also included the 70th construction deco on that too, which is quite nice. So now that we covered the 5 packs, we'll get these castings cleared out of the way. We'll take a look at our final 2 items, which are the Matchbox Basics. So I'm going to pause the video, and when we come back, we'll get a better look at the 2 basics we got. All right, now that we're back, we're going to start off with the Ford F350 stake bed truck. We'll get this cracked open, and I'm not going to save the package on these, if I'm being honest. I'm just going to open them as is. Finally got this casting cracked open after several months of waiting. The blue being used is all metal. The yellow and silver is plastic. However, there is a nice tilting bed feature in the back of the truck, though you can't really dump due to the fact that there's this plastic part covering the back part of the stake bed. Still, you could load up some road signs and stuff in the back and haul them to the job site, which is quite nice. Also, no trailer hitch, so unfortunately you can't tow with this one either. And the road roller, this one's already peg warming at most stores as is, so once again, not saving the package. The glue is well, it's kind of stiff, but the glue opened a little more easier at first when I pulled on it. Oh, come on. Oh, man. There we go. And taking our, oh boy, dropped it. Taking our road roller out. There's no articulation in the frame, but I'm not too bothered by this. And although there aren't any moving features, this could work if you were to test this out on like some kinetic sand or something for the main roller drum itself. Giving it a little bit of a roll test on a smoother surface just to see how it does. It doesn't do too bad. So that does the video on this, and by the way, the blue being used is all metal, while the rest is plastic, just like the stake bed. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these castings that we looked at in this video is your favorite, if you have a favorite, that is. And until next time, have a good, safe rest of your day, guys. Bye.